I think they're peaceful. I'm just praying for them, and just like to go out there and just give them a hug and tell them sooner or later I pray that you get it.
I just say,
as long as they're peaceful.
Where's science going to take you?
I know. I want to talk to them.
Where's science going to take you? I like that.
Yeah,
where's science going to take you?
To the
I believe in God.
So prayer does everything, science does nothing. Is that it?
That's what I think. Yeah.
Regardless of where your beliefs are, it's where science ends up. So if I take a mousetrap, let's just say, and I remove one piece of that mousetrap doesn't work.
I disagree with you, but that's...
So in other words, it still works?
It doesn't work as intended, but you can use it for a lot of other things.
True. But
that little piece that you took out would make a great tie clasp.
Right, but if it's survival of the fittest, okay, where are all the short-necked giraffes? We should have millions of short-necked giraffes, should we not?
If another species that were better than those short-necked giraffes ate all the leaves before those short-necked giraffes could, and they would die, then the answer is no.
But if we're billions of years old, shouldn't we have transitional forms, or at least the same form of a short-necked giraffe getting larger and larger?
And we do.
And where are they?
You just look it up. I actually read an evolution book last week, and it shows the transitional fossils of the giraffe, and you just have to look it up. Don't deny that they don't exist if you haven't tried to look for them. That's good. You're a smart guy. You're a smart guy.
What I'm saying is that the information that I've looked at has not proven to me, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that evolution is true. It's still a theory, in my opinion.
Science doesn't work on shadows of doubts because science is ever changing.
Correct. Science is supposed to be something that is proven over and over and over again.
You know what I believe in?
Right?
I believe in, well, it's proven, yes, there's a lot more evidence for evolution than creationism, but what I believe is people that work at this, 98% of geologists and paleontologists agree with evolution. You're on the 2%, of sides. Of the side of the creationists. How can you argue against 98%?
Half the guys that are in here were former atheists or evolutionists, or like, for example, Steve Austin.
That isn't answering my point. How do you argue against 98% of the scientists that believe evolution is true?
Okay, not all scientists are at 98%. Okay, 98.
Nearly all of the paleontologists, geologists, and anthropologists are. Those are the people that you're denying their opinion.
Well, you've got punctuated equilibrium, where
Stephen Jay Gould said that.
Right, where evolutionists are fighting evolutionists about what they believe.
That's correct, and they've come up with a consensus. This is something that creationists argue about that I find a little bit intellectually dishonest. You take arguments from the past and you say, look, these guys are arguing now, but you don't look at what's current.
Okay, why is it that there's over 300 flood legends? 300. We're talking from
well, there's probably 300 different cultures.
Well, that's
an easy question.
That's my point. So if there's different cultures, like the Chinese, the American Indian, they don't speak the same language, they never met each other. Like the American Indians don't have a written language.
Don't you think that there are floods in all cultures? Even deserts, for that matter.
But they don't. But I agree with you. There could be, but they don't go with all that.
Majesty, I have some water.
Oh yes, we have our own water. Thank you very much.
It is so stinking hot.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
See, we're good on both sides. The bottom line, we just don't believe in the ideologies, right?
Yeah, there we go. And scientific foundation.
Thank you. You're right. Hezekiah was a king.
Grab a sign, Phil. Grab a sign, Phil.
Not. So where's your evidence outside of this natural world? What is evidence of other dimensions? What is evidence of, things being outside of this world? There's volumes of books on evolution.
Why are you asking?
And
this is your first time to the museum, right?
Yes, it is.
Tell me, what was it like in there?
Overwhelming. My heart feels crushed right now.
And why?
Well, I wasn't able to go through all the first through the seventh day thing, which I wanted to read, but it's just packed by so many people, but I just had to get out and get some fresh air.
How about you, Phil? What's your first impression?
I knew what I was getting into. I've seen this before, I've read it before, so I'm used to it. And did learn something new. The fossils were created by the flood, supposedly, according to them.
All the floods?
Yeah,
fossils?
The main flood was caused by, caused the formation of the fossils. because they were buried deep inside. So, you know, it's just...
The Earth is only 6,000 years old. I'm a little confused.
You don't have to believe in God. If you don't believe in God, doesn't mean you don't believe in anything. I believe in many, many things. I believe in new things all the time, and I reject some of the old things I believe in.
Why are you here protesting?
Well, I'm here to civilly debate with people. I'm not blocking anyone's entrance, and soldiers are fighting for our First Amendment rights, and this is my way of being a part of it. And by the way, I put nobody down.
What's this got to do with
This
creation?
isn't a put down. This isn't a put down. This is supporting my faith outlook.
Morality without
humanism.
superstition.
It's called humanism. I'm supporting my humanism, and if one person sees it and wants to explore that, then my day was well spent, or hour, however long I'm here.
That you all must obey the least of the laws, and he who fails to obey the least of the laws will be the least in heaven. That's what he said.
I just said. Right. I agree with you. You can't do it.
Do you know,
I'm 100%
you know what some of the laws in Leviticus say? Have you ever read Leviticus?
What about
name me some laws in Leviticus. 2 laws.
Stone disobedient children.
Jesus said to the
Right,
Pharisees,
that's right.
"You brood of
Okay,
vipers."
but in fairness on this, if you look at the Jewish interpretation of how you have the trial to do this, there's no way you're going to convict anybody.
By the way,
so
I'm Steve. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Joey?
John.
John. I'm sorry.
You can't just take
Like the guy who wrote Revelation.
and not...
I would, we need to have something that you're teaching that can be factual, that can be testable and provable or something.
That is what the theory of evolution is based on. It's based on facts. Have you read Darwin's Origin?
Yes, I have. I've also read Dr. Michael Behe's work. Dr. Michael Behe made, it's called Irreducible Complexity.
You don't think Darwin's arguments are good?
No, actually, I agree with Darwin's argument. So
there's many really gnarly, evil, foolish things that men in the Bible do that God leads along, and they're not intended to teach us do those things. They're just there for us.
What about the things that people do specifically on God's command, like the destruction of Canaan and Amalek? God specifically said, "Go in there and kill everything. Let nothing live. Have no mercy. Kill every man, woman, unless a woman is a virgin, in which case you get to keep her for yourself."
So what you're doing at this point,
that's immoral.
You are putting God on trial,
yes,
in a sense, and accusing him as being immoral.
Actually, more so the book on trial.
The book.
If God said what it does, if God said what it does in the Bible, then if the Bible is immoral, then he has to be omnibenevolent, not omnibenevolent, because he's killing over 1.3 million people. Yes, go ahead.
Well, let's talk about what do you guys believe in evolution and natural selection, and really like it's about what did Hitler do? He got rid of handicap, the old people. Hitler.
What about him?
Hitler has nothing to do with it.
No. He was an atheist. He
you're wrong about that.
Absolutely.
What you're reading in your Christian books, ma'am, is wrong. In fact, he killed atheists. If he was an atheist, why was he killed? You're reading some pretty old Christian apologetic books there.
No.
He also said that he has to expose the atheists by killing.
All right. Well, tell me what.
These are
atheism. So talk about what it means to be an atheist.
The first question that you had, ma'am, what do we believe in? First of all, we don't believe what Hitler did at all, because even if he was an atheist, which he wasn't, we don't believe in genocide like that. You, on the other hand, have to believe in genocide if God killed so many people. Here's what we do believe in.
Genocide is in your book.
Here's what we believe in.
Human sacrifice is in your book.
Hold on.
To research it, the previous species from that flagellum without the little tail works perfectly. Not the same purpose, but it works perfectly all the way back to where there's no moving parts at all. But you are in denial because you don't look at these things. I think you're in denial.
That's not true. That's not true.
Which part is not true? I just mentioned.
You said that we're in denial because we don't look at these things.
Let me rephrase that. I think that it's difficult to assume that there's irreducible complexity unless you look at things that are opposite than what you're taught in the Christian arena. You have to take a look at the scientific arena that has answers for you. But you have to view those answers to actually claim that you know what you're talking about.
What about these men?
Is that true with the flagellum?
Which one?
the bacterial flagellum.
The flagellum, before it was actually used as a motor function, it was perceived to
without
be...
the tail.
Yes, perceived as not as a tail. It was a solid, non-moving object, from what I understand, as a could be used as a weapon
And
or...
it was purposeful for...
Another purpose.
That's right.
Yes, not for motor.
From what you understand, so you know for a fact, though. It's just not something
evidence.
you think.
It's evidence.
And who says it's evidence?
Well, that's a really good question, ma'am, because who says it's evidence is based upon the field of study. For instance, let's say an expert on traffic. You would assume that the expert on traffic would know more than anybody else about traffic and time the lights to be appropriate, wouldn't you? Right? You would think that people who build fences know how to build fences so they don't fall down.
Right.
And there's all a consensus. In fact, there's even laws about how to put up a fence and even laws about how to work with traffic. The point is this. When a field of study, and we're talking about microbiology here when we're talking about bacteria, when microbiology, the field of study consensus agrees at least 90 to 95%, they take that as fact, but not the ultimate fact. They take that as fact until more evidence comes along that changes that. So science is correcting itself all the time. Science really doesn't like to say the word fact. I disagree with him when he said fact, because science just says, here's what the evidence that we have. This, as far as we know, is the truth, meaning there's nothing behind it that shows that it operates differently than we say it does. So
Okay.
do you understand that so far?
What I'm concerned about is,
So
do
that's
you know
that's what
is going
bacteria
to
is.
happen to you
wait,
when you
wait,
die?
no,
No,
wait,
this is
wait,
what I
you're
want
changing
you-
the subject.
I don't care what I'm changing to.
You don't want me to finish the subject then?
The main idea is your life is important. Who cares what Darwin said?
I know what you're going to say, so let me ask you a question. You believe that the afterlife is more important than this life, is that right?
I believe, yes.
Yeah, the afterlife is, this life is nothing compared to the afterlife, is that right?
That's right.
So you think that you ought to behave in a way where that gets you to the afterlife,
And
is
where
that
do you
correct?
get these ideas?
I'm asking you, it's a question.
No. I know. I know what you're
Do
doing.
you think that you believe
But
that you
I'm
behave in
asking
such a
you.
way to get to the afterlife? You're worshiping, you're praying, you're believing, you're teaching your kids. All of these things is your behavior. You're doing that to get to the afterlife. Is that right?
Where did you hear that?
I'm just a question.
No, I want to know where you got your question.
From my head. Just a question, simple question. You're behaving now to get into the afterlife, right?
Get.
Yeah, you're trying to have, well, you don't even know because God could say, oh, sorry, you're wrong. Or there's a possibility there's no God, right?
No.
There's a possibility.
No, there's not.
There's not a possibility.
No, when I look at what I see around me, it proves to me there is God.
I look around me and I see nature, and I actually admit there might be a God. So if we're going to be on equal terms, I doubt that there's a God, but I don't
What
say...
do you doubt?
I doubt that there's a God because I don't see any evidence for it. But
everything you see around you is evolved.
yes. Yeah, of course, that's a whole different subject. The idea being that we're talking about right now is that if I have a small opening that there is a God, would you come back and say, well, there is a possibility, even it's the slightest, a billionth of a possibility that evolution is true, would you say, yes, okay, I'll say that it's maybe 1/100000th a percentage of truth, that there might be something behind evolution? Would you agree with that with me?
I don't believe there is.
Not 100%, yes, but there's a possibility. I'm
No.
looking at percentages here.
No, I
Not
don't
a
believe there
percentage
is a
of that.
possibility.
Okay. Well, that's all
Because
I
my
need.
life is full of peace and joy, and I know without a doubt where I'm going.
Do you think that my life is not full of peace and joy?
No, I didn't say that.
Do you think so?
I don't know.
It is. I am very happy with my life.
And you know
I'm a
without a
naturalist.
doubt what's going to happen. Without a shadow of
I just
doubt.
told you that, man. Didn't you hear me?
No, you said you thought there might be.
That's
God.
right. Well, that's the doubt. I do doubt that there might be a God, and I think that there is a possibility of a God-like thing out there, not your God, but a
Why
God-like
wouldn't
thing.
it be my God? What do you have against my God?
Well, I actually am not discriminatory. I'm against all 33 major religions, gods, except for Buddhism that
Why?
doesn't have a God. Because
what
to me,
happened to
there's
make
no
you
way.
that way?
To me, there's two things that make me that way. One of them is that all of them claim different evidence, all of them claim different creation theories, all of them claim different religious tenets. But the biggest thing is that bad behavior happens when you can believe in something supposedly immoral that's outside of that religion, but it's moral. They tell you it's moral, so it's okay to do. 9/11 is a perfect example, because they did that to get to heaven. And you probably don't vote for stem cell research.
They don't call it heaven.
Right, but that's why I have it against religion. I'm trying to kind of stay on track a little bit here. Why do you believe in Christianity versus Mormonism or Catholics or anything else? Why do you believe in that your particular, and plus you must have a sect. You have a sect of Christianity?
No.
You don't go to a particular church that believes a certain thing?
It's non-denominational.
No, so it's basically Christianity general. Believe the Bible, okay. Well, there's 36,000 sects that argue with each other. You know that probably. About how to get into heaven, how to do good works. But why do you believe? Why do you believe there is a God?
Because
why do you believe?
Savior rose from the dead.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm
That's
talking
why
about
I
why do you.
believe.
That's why you believe, because you believe a Savior rose from the dead.
I believe the Savior rose from the dead.
And
he died on the cross.
What about all the other
Saved
religions
me.
in the world?
Did
Are
any
they
of
going?
theirs die and rise again?
Actually, they did. Horus did. Osiris did.
And where are they now?
Well, they're Egyptian gods, so they're all gone.
Yeah,
But those Egyptians, if you were still an Egyptian, you might still believe. But the point, ma'am, is that those gods believed the same way you do now.
Those gods?
Those gods. There were multiple gods back in the Egyptian times.
Why did they need so many?
The point is that they believed the same way that you do. How powerful you, I can tell you're a powerful Christian. You're a believer. You're an absolute believer. But they believed also the same thing. Not only that, but people believe in Muhammad, in the 1,200 gods in Hindu. They believe as strong as you do.
They're not alive now, though.
Yeah, well, yes, they are.
And they don't.
Allah is alive because that's Islam God. Muhammad is not alive,
but
of
they
course.
don't have any proof that
But
they're alive.
You don't have any proof that what?
They don't have proof that their gods are alive.
And you don't. You do have proof.
Yes.
What's your proof?
Empty tomb, empty cross, empty tomb.
What about all those things that they say are of their religion that happened that is absolutely true? They would argue the exact same way.
They're not true.
Thank you very much.
They have to assume that when they're doing radiometric dating, they have to assume that they know how much of that material is there to begin with, that none leaked in, that extra didn't leak out, that it was a constant rate, and that, and we have evidence that shows that these things are not constant. We have things like the Mount St. Helens eruption that happened on May 18th, 1980, I believe it was, if I remember the date correctly, approximately 31 years ago, which shows that layers can be laid down, stratified layers, within a matter of hours or days, and that it doesn't have to take millions of years. Here we have this mud flow that blasted through and cut through rock 100 feet deep, and we have these layers there with a little waterfall and the stream at the bottom, which shows that that can happen in just a very short period of time. So it takes a whole different view when you compare that with the Grand Canyon, where people try to say it took 70 million years for the Colorado River to cut through it, when we see, in light of what we see happening in Mount St. Helens. And then also too, when it put the trees down in Spirit Lake, and how these trees, the logs are floating on the water of Spirit Lake, and the bark is coming off and falling down, and some of the trees they get waterlogged, and they actually will go suspend vertically in the water and then embed themselves in the floor of the lake. And then as the more...
Too much information for me.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Very amazing.